Hey, and welcome to Neverwinter with Arrogant. So today I'd like to go over how to obtain and actually test out what's rumored to supposedly be the best artifact set within this next module. Here we have the new campaign, Dragonbone Veil, and with it we can see we can complete it. And when you obtain the final reward, you'll gain this shattered Mythallar, and that'll give you that artifact set, as you can see there. So let's just finish our last repeatable quest here. Save the soldier. We hand that in, and now we should have our campaign finished. We can see we can obtain that set just there, and let's go ahead and do so. We claim it, we check in our inventory, and here we have the legendary box. So we'll open that, and that just straight away gives us the bound to character set. Now we'll check later, is this going to be account wide then, or do you have to grind the campaign on every single character? So we can see the set is already on legendary, which is very nice. No way to upgrade it any further, so it's not going to be a mythic set like the Demogorgon set that we have here. But is it going to be as good? Well, let's see. Let's first get this artifact upgraded with the new artifact upgrade system. You can see you won't need any of those marks of potencies. You will need now glyphs of potencies instead. Still using those enchanting stones rank 3s up to 5s. And there we have it on mythic. And we can see it gives that 1200 item level, just as the Demogorgon artifact does as well. As we can see, 1200. So it has the maximum item level, means it can definitely be a contender just for a secondary artifact to put in. As we can see, the artifact itself is going to have the ability to deal nearly 100,000 damage just when you cast it, and also reduce the resistance of the target by 15%, so much like what you have with the Mythallar Blast Scepter. Now what I'm very interested in is the set bonus that it gives you, that raw pressure. We can see that it will supposedly give an additional hit for 100 magnitude. So let's get this thing slotted in instead of our Demogorgon set. So let's slot this artifact in main, and we can have a look at what it's like against, let's say, some targets. So let's find some enemies. Here we go, we got our victims, and we cast our artifact, and there we go. We can deal a hefty amount of damage, but supposedly only against one target there. The rest was my companion, Succubus, which just hit there for massive amounts. Yeah, we can see it was hitting for 600k. Yeah, that wasn't a joke. So let's head over to Chult, and we can test this actual set on the dummies. And so we'll get that act running, and we'll start hitting this dummy, and we can see how often this thing can actually proc. Now let's have a quick look just in the combat tracker there. You can see all of my bleeds just hitting off there, and it seems to be proccing on every one of my bleed hits. You can see the bleed hits, and we also get our raw pressure. So that's definitely advantageous if it can hit off that. And we can see, unfortunately, it's not going to be 100 magnitude. That would make it even more broken, but it's just based off our item level, our base damage. As we can see, 995. So that is then resisted by the dummies, basically resistant. So if I were to use the Mythallar artifact, we can see we'll lower the resistance of the dummy, and then we should get those hits to be a good bit higher. We'll look at the combat tracker just here. We can see our outgoing damage, and here we have our raw pressure. Now I'll do like a few minute test and actually get my DPS and see how much this is outputting, but it could potentially even proc our touch of wind, which is our band of air, a lot more often. And if it can do that, well, that's absolutely insane. And the artifact seems to be doing a lot more damage than just what it would say as 100,000. See, Mythallar Burst hitting for like up to 350,000 base damage. That's a massive hit from an artifact. Anyway, this raw pressure, you can see all of the base damage on the hits is equal to our base damage. And we can get that up to like 6,972 when we reduce the defense of the target. You can get that much higher when you use things like your Mythallar Blast Scepter, and you can stack all of those abilities that reduce the target's defense. Like Bloodlust will do the same, and so on. So let's have a quick DPS test just on this dummy. And so I recorded 2 tests. This is the one with the Demogorgon set, giving us the Demogorgon Wrath and overall 5% more damage increase. Now, we want to keep an eye out on like the touch of wind. Is this proccing more often with the new set? We can see we got a total of 65 hits there. And we can see the total amount of hits was 1,775. Now this is 2 minutes and 27 seconds, just using my encounter powers, using the rotation and trying to basically maximize out the amount of DPS I'm outputting. This is with the older set, the Demogorgon set. Now with the new set, the Mythallar set, we can see that touch of wind seems to be proccing a little bit more. However, this could be just down to chance, as it is a 10% chance whenever you hit. You can see 65 hits versus 71 hits is really not a lot. Now we can see overall our DPS does seem to decrease a little bit. We can see across the board of everything, mainly due to the fact that the Demogorgon set gives a 5% damage boost to most of our powers. Again, you can compare each of those. You can see many of our powers are hitting for a little bit less, but take it or leave it. A DPS test of only 2 minutes and 30 seconds is in no way going to be very accurate. You want to get at least 30 minutes to get a good average, having cast at least 30 of those daily powers and mount combat powers to make sure the crit chance is balanced as well. However, we still want to look at whether this set is going to be the best in slot. At least for single target, from what I can tell, looking at these data, we can see that the raw pressure is right there. We can see that it was only giving us a 3% damage increase. So overall, the Demogorgon set would be better with a 5% damage increase to most of our powers, along with having Demogorgon's Wrath. Whereas this new set doesn't seem to proc the Band of Air a bit more often, and overall seems to give us a little bit less damage. So in my opinion, they're very close. Much more testing is needed to be done, and for now, the Demogorgon set seems to still excel that bit better in single target damage. That is not to say it's going to work the same in AoE. If we switch to our Whisper Knife build, you can see we have the Mythallar set here, and we want to, let's say, look at things that could proc it. Let's say I use we'll summon an augment here just so we don't get that chat filled with clutter. We can see with our Path of Blades, every time it hits, we get that raw pressure to proc. Keep in mind, again, you're going to have combat advantage to make use of this. So in AoE on like a rogue, this is pretty massive, since each one of our hits is dealing that bit much more damage. And it's better than just a 5% increase to everything, because if that's proccing off every hit of Path of Blades, that's insane. Look at those damage numbers. We can probably get the same off our smoke bomb. We just pop that down there. We can see we get our raw pressure each time as well. Yes, indeed, every hit is proccing again the set. But still, it doesn't seem that these things will proc the touch of wind, the raw pressure. It seems it might do here, since Touch of Wind was procced after Lost Mouth, after raw pressure. But again, I think it's just proccing off that initial hit of the smoke bomb there. Again, these things have to be tested out a lot further. But as of right now, what I can say is this new set's definitely going to be best in slot for a rogue in AoE. Not so much in single target. So overall, that is how we're going to be obtaining the new set. Simply complete the campaign and you get it. You still have to upgrade the artifact, unfortunately, but otherwise a very good set for newer players if you don't have the Demogorgon set. And otherwise for AoE, this is most likely the set I'll be using instead of the Demogorgon set. That extra hit on every one of our powers is massive. And lastly, is this set account wide? Well, it doesn't seem we're going to be able to claim it back multiple times like the sets from the Echoes of Prophecy, where you had the Jewel of the North and the Neverwinter Standard. But if we switch character, we can see that the campaign is not account wide, so you're going to have to complete it on all the characters of which you most likely want the set, since also on other characters it isn't claimable. So unfortunately, yeah, it's going to be a grind for all your alts if you want the set for them. So with that said, hopefully they presented this well. If I did, consider leaving the video a like. And if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.